All right. Seth, what are we drinking?
I'm told this is lunch plan. The first part of the day here at the Olean storefront.
We're not in Olean. We're
in Cattaraugus. I live in Olean.
All right. So welcome to our new little podcast video here. Seth, I'll just introduce ourselves. I'm Tom Cullen, and I'm the founder of Rocket Cup, and we have Seth here. Seth is our head roaster, and I call him the master roaster. And Seth, how long have you been roasting for?
Well, I roasted on my own for about 20 years, and then I've been here for almost 2 years now. No?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of decades.
A year and a half. Yeah. So a lot of experience. And where did you live when you were first roasting?
Well, I worked in Baton Rouge for about 25 years. That's Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I was hanging with a bunch of people that really love coffee, and even one of them roasted on their own. So I got the bad habit, and I've been adding ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and then you got to move to Western New York. Thanks to your lovely wife, and
Yes.
and got to join us. And that is a good thing for coffee lovers in this area for sure.
It's a good thing for me.
So, I want to talk a little bit about who Rocket Cup is and why we made, especially around the coffee. We don't always talk about the coffee and where it comes from, why it's special, what our philosophy is around coffee. And when we started, we were really focused on specialty coffee. Do you want to explain what that even means and just to help people understand?
Yeah, so coffee is graded by a group of folks named Q testers. The scale is 1 to 100. Q testers are exceptionally accurate and consistent. The variance in scores is very, very small, tenths of points, if that. So that leads to specialty coffee gets a grade of 80 or better. Now we only serve, our green beans are all called specialty coffee, and they are higher than a Q score of 80. So that makes all of our beans very high level, really wonderful tasting beans.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it helps for people to understand what the levels of coffee are. A lot of the coffee that you might hit a drive-through for, it might be in the 30s in terms of the Q grading, and then maybe you get some more big national chains or whatever that might be a little bit higher than that. It's pretty rare actually to get a specialty coffee on a daily basis. There's more and more of these cafes and roasteries that are focusing on this, but it's really, our approach has been, hey, let's start with really, really good beans. Do you want to talk a little bit about how a coffee becomes specialty?
Well, these plantations that we utilize, a lot of them are producing beans. First of all, we deal with fair trade, which means that the plantations are producing beans, making money, and the bulk of that money is staying in those communities, in those countries. And that's really important to us, I think, first off. Beans are graded at the green level. So when they're dried, they are graded, and they're grading green beans. You just got to get tested. Some coffee companies are more in quantity as opposed to quality. Some of the canned stuff you see in the supermarket, stuff like that. The smaller, not necessarily smaller, but the more focused on quality plantations will continue to grow really high level specialty coffee. There's also a couple of different beans. There's Robusta beans, which are certainly getting a lot better, but still not the mainstream of specialty beans. We use Arabica beans, which for a long time have been the only sort of specialty level coffee. The Robusta beans were generally used in espresso blends, and they create a great deal of that brown foam on top of the coffee called crema. So, those plantations evolve, and it's really where they are sourcing their beans, the environment they have, is it the right altitude, the right soil, and all coffee is produced within a few hundred miles of the equator. So it has to fit all those criteria. Now there's great coffee all over the world. Here in Rocket Cup, we focused on Central and South America, at least to start. So we use beans from Honduras, beans from Colombia, and beans from Brazil. They're all highly rated specialty beans, and we use them in various blends. And that's what we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how I think of specialty coffee. If you've ever gone blueberry picking or berry picking of some sort, and you see a bunch of blueberries, and some of them are perfectly ripe, and you grab them and you throw them in your mouth. Some of them are still maybe a little white or not quite fully ripe. With specialty coffee, the farmers will go through and they'll pick just the ripe ones. Then they'll go back the next day or a few days later and pick the ones as they have matured and become ripe. So the attention and care that they're giving to this crop is on a whole nother level. So coffee is created by a cherry. So it's just the same type of cherry that you chew and spit the pit out. That's very similar to a coffee cherry. The pit is the coffee bean. So these specialty farmers are picking these at the perfectly ripe time. They also have the specialty grade. They're likely in the best areas. It's similar to wine. They're in with the best terroir, the best land that they're planted on. The coffee trees are also very high quality. They're harvesting, like I said, at a very high quality time, and then they're caring for it every step of the way. They take the flesh off. They dry out the coffee bean. It turns into a green coffee bean. Then they put it in a big burlap sack, keep it very safe. It's about a 150-pound sack, and send it to us. Then we roast it with care, and then we get it out the door. So that specialty process, actually, we're taking a bean of really high quality and spending a lot of time and a lot of care to keep it really high quality the whole time. That's what specialty really is. If you go to a big farm, a big coffee farm, it's kind of like corn. They have these big harvesters, and it just strips all the coffee beans off when it's time. And from a business standpoint, you could see how that makes sense. If you're Folgers or somebody like that, you need a lot of coffee in order to serve your customers. We're taking a bit of a different approach to having this specialty coffee. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about our philosophy in how we're blending our coffee beans. So we have this specialty coffee, and each of these beans, from the plantations that they come from and the farms that they come from, we roast them each individually.
Yep.
Right? And then we take those coffees and we blend them. So our coffees really are often used as single origin coffees, right?
Yep.
And that ability, though, is what we're doing, which is generally a little bit different, is we're taking these single origin amazing coffees and we're blending them. And the reason we're doing that is to give everybody's palate a nice full mouthfeel, that something that's going to work in the morning and it's going to work after lunch or whenever you want to have it. And we can create consistency with that. It's sort of a different approach than some of these specialty coffees. And some people even think it's sacrilegious to say, hey, we're gonna blend this single origin coffee. Like, why would we do that? Well, we think that it's more accessible and it gives us an ability to bring more people into the specialty coffee world as a drinker.
Now, let me say a couple of things about that. First of all, one of the great differences between Rocket Cup and larger producers or chains or something, we're going to get that coffee out to you within 7 to 10 days of roasting. That level of freshness is very hard to find unless you go to a specialty coffee place like Rocket Cup. The other thing that I always notice in tours is people come in, they sit down, they say, what do you know about coffee? And the answer is frequently, I like to drink it. And then the next thing they say is, and I always drink it with cream and sugar. And I say, well, we're not gonna do that today. And you're gonna like it nevertheless. And then we start tasting coffee, and we do taste the single origins, so they get a sense of what's being blended. But almost immediately they say, oh, I could drink this without any cream and sugar. That's the freshness and that's the quality level of the coffee. And from my perspective, not over roasting the bean. So
Can you talk about how you think about roasting each bean? Is it different on each bean? Like, what does that look like?
Anytime you roast, there's a combination of things: sight, smell, and sound. Each bean roasts a little bit differently, so we use the machine, but you still got to sort of hang in and monitor. I've been doing it long enough that I know where the various varietals are going to fall within a range. But even daily, humidity, temperature in the roastery, that's going to change everything. So we're always looking at that. I'm also always roasting all three varietals for a lot of smoothness. I don't think coffee needs to be bitter. It can be stout and strong, but I don't think it needs to be bitter. I'm also trying to pull out certain particular colors from each bean. We're pretty heavy on the idea that beans should have a chocolatey quality, whether that's baker's chocolate or milk chocolate. I want to bring that out, plus other flavors that are specific to the bean. You know, maybe a little fruit here, maybe a little citrus, nuts, tea taste. Those are the things we're looking for in each of our roasts. So, and again, the freshness factor makes coffee like this better all on its own. And then the fact that we're using the best beans we can get.
Awesome. Seth, thank you for all you're doing to help roast, to help bring amazing coffee to the world. We have a lot more to talk about.
Yep.
In the coming episodes. We have a lot of blends of coffee that we're selling, and but this is fun. This is the roaster right behind us. It's time to get roasting.
Yep.
Let's do this. I know there's a batch ready to go.
Yep.
I can see it on the top of the.
You want me to
top of
start
the
this
roaster.
up?
Yeah, start it up, and we'll get it going. All right. Thank you.